Hello and welcome to Sunday. Today's been an interesting day. I know we got home pretty late, I feel like. Probably around like 1 or 2 in the morning. I think I said 1:30 in the last clip. I'm not sure. Now I really want to check. This is what happens. Like, I go off on tangents and I'm like, what actually did happen? Lucky for me, Google makes it super easy because they track your location wherever you go. For some people it seems bad, but it's not too big of a deal for me. Apparently got home at 1 a.m. on the dot, looks like. So yeah. Woke up, I think I went to bed around 2, but I woke up 8, around the 7 to 8ish time, and did the normal Sunday stuff, laundry, whatever. And then after all that, I just fell asleep for like a few hours. So yeah, not the greatest start to the day, but afterwards I ended up like during this whole photography challenge that I wanted to do. One of the things that you really need to learn is your tools. And when I say tools, I mean things like the camera, things like what I have, like these these lighting panels that I have available, things like tripods that these are like that we're using, and having those things available and like being able to use them and know how to use them is a very important thing. But the thing is, all of these things are physical. A lot of the work for photography is also done in post-production. Things like in I'm gonna go with Adobe terms here because those are the most popular products. Lightroom, where you take raw images and you edit everything about them. You can edit the so when I take a picture, when you take a picture, you can take it in the standard format, which is JPEG, and that's normally what you see. For higher, more professional cameras, and even on your phone, my phone can do this, so I'm assuming most other phones can too. It's just a setting that you really need to enable. And I don't advise enabling the setting unless you know what you're doing, because the second format is a RAW format. And now, RAW files are different from normal JPEG files. They're files that contain every information about, like all the light information taken by the camera sensor. JPEGs, like, you can set, what is it? Like, you know how you can adjust the brightness slider and the contrast on your phone or whatever, and like in the camera, and you can put on filters, but it saves that to a JPEG. You can't edit that. For the RAW file, it just takes the light data. It does not care what filter you applied. It just takes all the data in. Your job as a in post-production is to edit that file to your liking. So you can edit the brightness, you can edit the color saturation, you can add filters, you can do a bunch of other stuff. And I typically edited photos up until like last week when I wanted to do this challenge. I was doing them in the normal way I normally do them. It was take all the photos, add adjust the shadows and the highlights, adjust those levels, adjust the saturation, the brightness, and the contrast, and everything about like what makes it look good, and just send it off. And then when I started this, I was like, okay, black and white seems like it would be a good fit for all these things. So I learned how to well, there's a button just for monochrome, or just reduce the saturation all the way down. But the thing is, in post-production, what you can also do is just, there are different levels of monochrome. Do you want to like take out every color except one? Like I took a picture of my servers, and like they have the blinking green lights to show that the hard drives are going off. I wanted to capture that, so I reduced everything but green, and now we have just bright green lights just showing. Let me see if I can find that photo. It shouldn't be too hard. I should be able to just bring it up right now. Give me like 2 seconds. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Okay, it took a tiny bit too long, but hopefully it's not too bad. But yeah, you could see like the green, like everything is black and white except the green lights, and then the blue lights for the little LCD panels. Super cool. But yeah, I spent a lot of time learning how to do that. Just taking images from black and white. Like you can add simulation grain. So like you know how like you take an old photo, you can add like those, makes it look grainy instead of sharp, and like it's super cool. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of that, having fun with that, and I figured it's time to kind of take things up a notch. And by that, I mean actively learning Darktable. And Darktable, I'm not so sure if I've ever talked about this before. It's essentially Lightroom. It's just an open source raw photo editor and workflow kind of thing. You import your photos, you can tag them, you can do everything with them, and you can just edit them there. And if you know me, I'm a fan of the open source community. I would all about the open source life, so it's also free, so like that's a bonus. And it's super super good software, especially for a beginner software. It gives you everything that you ever want or need, and I'm sure there are features in Lightroom that you're missing out on, but it's, if anything, it's marginal. And I'm sure there's another option called raw therapy. I just prefer Darktable just because there's more resources and information available for it, and it seems like the more popular option. So, been using that, and it's working out pretty good so far. Another one that you guys would know is Photoshop. There's a program called GIMP that's again the open source equivalent. Wonderful software, great for minor touch-ups that you can't really do in a raw editor. Things like just healing imperfections in a shoot, like say somebody has a bit of acne on their cheek or whatever, just highlight that, hit the heal button, and that's a special Python file that I downloaded, and you're all good. So things like that, it's like really really cool. And this evening I started watching some Darktable tutorials. Everybody says that there's one guy on YouTube who just goes through Darktable in its entirety. I think I've watched the first 5 of his videos, spent like an hour doing that. And it's just the basic stuff, like learning how to use a program, import photos, and just like timeline and tagging and everything like that. It's really, really cool, and learning the software side of things, getting better at that, will ultimately improve your work ethic, and like, you know, because a lot of the, and just quality of those, because a lot of the work is done in post-production. While it does take a lot to happen in, you know, pre-production when you're editing, when you're taking the shot, that's only like, I would say that's 30% of the work, and like the 70% is done in post-production. Again, don't take that with a heavy grain of salt, but you could take just a normal photo and, you know, it looks good, but post-production you can make that look so much better. Like any normal photo that you take, if you take a raw file, you can just make it look exactly the same, but you can also adjust the highlights and the shadows, and you can make it pop more. And that's what you want. You want something eye-catching, you want something interesting. And that's what you can do in post-production, as opposed to just taking normal stills. You can make it look much more cleaner. You could take things that are in the foreground, make it pop, and desaturate the background just a tiny bit. You can do what I just did. Take one color, highlight that one color in post-production, and it pops against the gray background. It's super, super cool. So that's what I'm probably going to be doing these next couple of days. The goal is to work on that and see where it gets me. have some fun with it. So that's the plan for now. Now that I see I've been rambling on for like 10 minutes, I'm gonna call it here for today. Had some fun messing around with it, and I'm definitely doing it tomorrow, so we'll see where that gets me. For now, that's what I'm gonna call it for today. Thank you all for watching. I hope to see you tomorrow. And until then, later.